one of the things that's happened is, thanks to the pandemic, I think the Indian audience has discovered a lot of OTT content from across languages. And that's been brilliant for the entertainment industry. But there are still many challenges ahead. Renuka ji, what do you think? You've worked extensively in Hindi, Marathi, and of course, you're a producer and director yourself. Do you think there are challenges for the Marathi industry as well?
There are huge challenges for the Marathi industry, though the industry started in Maharashtra by a Maharashtrian. I mean, it's been around forever, and yet we've not really cracked the code of competition with Hindi or Hollywood, you know, which is released all over Maharashtra, dubbed Telugu and Tamil and Kannada films. And all these things are constantly in competition with Marathi films. Another very important part of Maharashtra is Maharashtrian theatre. Now, since we can't compete with the Hindi film industry in terms of budgets because of the viability factor, so in terms of the glamour, the Hindi films will always look 100 times better, you know, in terms of scale and glamour as compared to the Marathi films. And in terms of content, form, the kind of experimentation that is going on, which is what Maharashtrians thrive on, which is food for thought, basically, much more than the glamour part of it. It's the theatre. I mean, we have a very, very vibrant theatre scene, which people find affordable. You know, theatre is constantly innovating, even in the commercial space. So there is, and of course, OTT. Now you have languages from all over the world kind of, you know, competing. You have them on your phone, you have them on your laptop. So I think as an industry, and I think Swapnil will agree with me, is that we've not been able to crack the viability code. Because if we have to dream any further than the lands that we are in, then we have to crack the viability code within our own state first. And then we can, you know, kind of experiment with audiences all over India. So that is a challenge. There are one-off films that do exceedingly well, and you know, suddenly people start talking of the golden age of Marathi films. So there was a Me Shivaji Raje Bhosle Bolto, which you know, kind of even broke the records of Hindi films running at that time. Or there was a Sairat, which did exceedingly well. But these are exceptions. How do we make those exceptions a rule is a question that I think industry has to come together and find a solution for. And I think we need a paradigm shift in the way we exhibit and distribute films. Because there has to be space for experimentation, which is not in direct competition with the rates of a commercial Hindi or Telugu or Tamil film. Because otherwise, our films are never going to cross that barrier. Because if we are constantly faced with that kind of competition of viability and we want to do anything, then we just do not have the theaters where our films will be released or subsidized over a period of time that, okay, fine, audience is not coming the first day, the second day, but by word of mouth, we need to increase the audience and give it time to come. Because everybody is so busy working. You know, they go back home, they see their phones and they see a lot of content on it from all over the world, like Korean, and people are talking about all sorts of films. So I think that theatre going, and how do you deal with that? The paradigm shift has to be, there has to be some sort of subsidization in terms of the exhibition distribution paradigm, which I don't think we've cracked as yet, and that is the prime concern. There's another thing that I think now, because of, as you said, post-pandemic, we've kind of been introduced to a lot of other language films, which for me, as a person growing up in the 80s, very few people here might be of that age group perhaps, but it was very important at that time. We had only one channel called Doordarshan, and we used to have regional cinema from all over India shown to us every Saturday evening. And we as children were exposed to the best of the makers from all over India. So we always knew that our Indian film industry is a very rich film industry. Then a stage came when the television became very parochial and you know, regional. And everybody started only watching the, you know, their own language films, their own language television. And suddenly, then it opened up only after the pandemic. So now I think we have to regroup and redesign this whole distribution exhibition network, definitely in the Marathi space, and try to make it pan-world, not just Indian.
That's a great point. Swapnil,
Sorry, before you go to Swapnil, may I interrupt? This is the problem of distribution exhibition has been a problem across all languages. I mean, the regional languages suffer much more severely because we have a limited and a smaller bandwidth. But Hindi films, if you try and make them anything different from the accepted norm, you're going to have trouble showing your film to anyone. And that's a problem that I remember hearing about when my mother used to act in movies in the 60s, and I'm still hearing about it 60 years later. We just didn't get it right.
Swapnil, I see you nodding your head to a lot of what Renuka ji was saying. You've also got something up your sleeve, haven't you, in terms of OTT and showcasing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, primarily being an actor, I always wanted to, I always used to get this feeling that as an actor, most of us, we don't get to choose our scripts. I always say that the script chooses the actor. That's how I get to choose from the scripts that are offered to me. So the choice is limited or restricted to that extent. And I used to always feel and those choices have a lot of limitations in terms of the reach and the popularity and the commercial viability and so on and so forth. So I always had this thought, how can we break the chicken egg story? How can we break this loop? And I thought that the OTT is a great way forward. So yes, me and a team of like-minded people are coming together with an OTT platform. It's called One OTT.
That's great news.
Yeah. The tagline is Bharat ka apna mobile TV. So we are not even using the term OTT because I feel that OTT is very Netflix and Amazon और गांव खेड़े में रहने वाले को OTT पता नहीं है. अगर आप मेरी दादी को बोलो OTT तो वो शायद OTT वर्ड भी नहीं जानती. तो हम कह रहे हैं कि जैसे टीवी देखते हो ना आप तो आपके मोबाइल पे टीवी दिखेगा. That's how rural or that's how basic or massive we want to take One OTT to. So we are starting with Marathi, and again when I say Marathi, I'm not saying mainstream Marathi. I'm saying Konkani, I'm saying Khandeshi. So we are actually going to the dialects of the particular regional space. So we're going tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 in the commercial aspect of the term. Again, it's a dream that we're all seeing. The viability and the success is a different story. OTT is a long-term game. But yeah, so that is something that we're starting. We will be hard launching in the coming quarter. And I'm looking forward to the entire industry's support. Having said that, One OTT is just one aspect of what I do. I'm primarily an actor by choice and by passion. And I feel there's, yes, a lot of things that Ratna ji said or Renuka ji said. I was nodding because we all agree. Because Ratna ji might be acting and Mansi might be acting in Gujarati films and Renuka ji might be acting in Marathi films and I might be acting in Marathi films. But our DNA is cinema. तो जब हम सिनेमा की बात करते हैं तो हमारा पैशन एक हो जाता है. तो अगर गुजराती फिल्म चलेगी तो शायद हमको उतनी खुशी होगी जितनी मराठी फिल्म चलने पे रत्ना जी को होगी. क्योंकि सिनेमा चलना चाहिए. सिनेमा हैज़ टू वर्क. और अगर गुजराती सिनेमा कोई चीज़ सही कर रही है तो हम चाहेंगे कि हम उसको देखें, उससे सीखें और उसको यहाँ हम कैसे लागू कर पाए कि मराठी सिनेमा उससे फ़ायदे में आए. या अगर मराठी सिनेमा कोई चीज़ बेहतर कर रहा है तो हाउ कैन वी टेक दैट algorithm, try to make it regional to the other regions and apply it there so that हम उन regions के सिनेमा को कैसे बेहतर कर पाए. जैसे hypothetically मैं अभी डिस्कस कर रहा था सौरभ से, सौरभ इज हियर, सौरभ लाइक अ ब्रदर. मैं भी कह रहा था कि हम जैसे मैं सहाय साहब से भी विनती करूँगा और ये मैं ओपन फोरम में इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि अभी मेरे बात ये दिमाग में आई है कि जैसे हम नेशनल अवार्ड्स करते हैं, अब वक्त आ गया कि OTT का एक वर्टिकल हो नेशनल अवार्ड्स में. क्योंकि OTT पे ओरिजिनल कंटेंट बहुत बढ़िया बन रहा है और उसकी सराहना होनी चाहिए. जैसे OTT पे कुछ कंटेंट बन रहा है जिस पे काफ़ी आक्षेप लिया जाता है. एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल रेज आईब्रोज ऑन दैट एंड दैट ऑल्सो नीड्स censorship is too harsh a word, but that needs a kind of a regulation to it. So I think it's a multi-layered problem, but at the base of it is that I would never call it regional cinema. I always maintain that it's Indian cinema. In the Marathi language, Indian cinema in the Gujarati language, and so on and so forth. So I genuinely feel that Indian cinema needs to keep reinventing itself. We've been doing it for 100 years now. And we've hell, we've shown that we've stood the test of time. And every time people say कि अब cinema मर रहा है, अब cinema मर रहा है, अब cinema मर रहा है, cinema सिर्फ बढ़ रहा है. If you see year-on-year growth in terms of numbers, in terms of specifics, in terms of analytics, in any parameter that you put, cinema is growing, cinema घर बढ़ रहे हैं, cinema halls बढ़ रहे हैं, multiplexes की संख्या बढ़ रही है. And I feel entertainment is a basic need of human life. It's like food, shelter, clothing, entertainment. So the forms of entertainment keep changing, but I want to be entertained. Now, how I make cinema to be a compulsion in that form is my job as a technician in this field. कि मैं नाटक चूज करूं या मैं सिनेमा चूज करूं, तो मैं क्या करूं कि दर्शक सिनेमा चूज करे, ये मेरा काम या ये मेरी मेहनत. बट आई जेन्युइनली फील
नाटक के लिए थोड़ा सा छोड़
नहीं प्लीज नहीं बिल्कुल बिल्कुल छोड़ दीजिए.
नाटक के मरने की भी खबर तब से सुन रहे हैं जब से आई थी.
बट मुझे लगता है कि नाटक
मर ही रहा है बेचारा.
मुझे लगता है रत्ना जी,
आप मार ही डालोगे.
नहीं रत्ना जी, मुझे लगता है कि मुझे हमेशा लगता है कि नाटक इज लाइक ब्रीदिंग. आपको करना नहीं पड़ता है, आप जिंदा हो तो इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ योर लाईफ. जैसे आज भी इफ माय मॉम सेज की काय करायचं तर ती म्हणते चल नाटकाला जाऊया.
पैसे तो देने पड़ेंगे ना. हाँ, तो आपका चॉइस अगर मिलेगा कि सिनेमा या नाटक, तो आप सिर्फ सिनेमा चूज करोगे तो हमारा प्रॉब्लम है.
I know absolutely. I think that's the struggle that we are all going to have now, क्योंकि the same struggle is between cinema and OTT. Same struggle. जहाँ लोग कह रहे हैं कि मैं थिएटर में जाके 2000 रुपया क्यों खर्च करूँ, मैं OTT पे देख लूँगा ना. So that is a struggle that's a struggle of choices.
This is exactly what I was saying in terms of viability.
Correct.
How do we make all
this viable?
viable? Because the kind of ticket rates that we have today and single screens are like nearly dead in that sense. So you don't have subsidized film viewing, unfortunately. Now, that's what I said.
In fact, the point I want to make, Renuka ji, here is one day, I think the World Cinema Day or something,
Yes.
I think all the theaters slashed prices to 100 rupees.
And how many people
And
went?
all the shows across all the films, across all the languages were houseful on that day.
Exactly.
Irrespective of कौन सी फिल्म चल रही है और कौन सी फिल्म अच्छी है और कौन सी फिल्म बुरी है, आपने एक दिन टिकट के रेट्स नीचे किए तो a lot of people are going to give me galis later, distribute and all that, but I think it's a multi-layered problem. Creative aspect of the problem is just one aspect of it. It's a multi-layered problem. A lot of agencies will need to coexist and sit together, and I think Sahai Sahab can really help us and mentor us and guide us in the process. But I think it's a multi-layered problem. The crux of the matter is that OTT is the future. OTT is going to play a very, very important role in entertaining people. But having said that, theater or TV or cinema is going nowhere. It is only going to be consumed across the bandwidth, and audiences across the bandwidth are going to consume all these forms of entertainment. The degree of that form might keep changing and varying, but these are all essentials of entertainment in India, and they're all here to stay.
That was incredible. I just have one question that I want to also ask. Is that, now that we're also working on different scripts and we're figuring out what next projects to do, of course, because it's Gujarati, then it's already like you dealing with a limited audience. On top of that, this whole thing that you said about how to get people to the theaters. So now even if the script is very good, the first question we ask is, will this be a theatrical or should this be an OTT? So automatically, the brain is now, we're figuring out, because financially, then how does it work? Because if it's a great script, but it's a choti story, ye OTT pe chal jayegi, ye theatrical experience nahi hai. So that's another, aspect that's added to the already different
But Mansi, my
aspects of
perspective to that is the
filmmaking.
whole idea of making cinema is a risk.
True.
The whole idea कि चलो फिल्म बनाते हैं, अपने आप में एक एक्साइटमेंट है. कोई भी आज तक जितना मुझे पता है, कोई भी मेकर, चाहे प्रोड्यूसर हो, चाहे एक्टर हो, चाहे डायरेक्टर हो, आपको लिख के नहीं दे सकता कि पिक्चर चलेगी. बिकॉज nobody sets out to make a bad project. कोई ये कहता ही नहीं ना कि चलो एक मीडियोकर फिल्म बनाते हैं. हर किसी को मोगले आजम बनानी है और अपने दिमाग में वो मोगले आजम बना ही रहे हैं. So I think our job is to just keep being at it. And we will need risk takers, which is where the money people actually come in. We will need the risk takers. We'll need somebody to take that leap of faith on somebody's vision. Because मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि सिनेमा एक लौती ऐसी चीज़ है, या नाटक, एंटरटेनमेंट एक लौती ऐसी चीज़ है दुनिया में जहाँ हम बिना प्रोडक्ट दिखाए लोगों से पैसे लेते हैं.
Right.
आप फ्रिज खरीदते हो तो आप 4 दुकानों में जाते हो, आप फ्रिज देखते हो, इसका ऊपर का दरवाज़ा खोल के देखते हो, उसका नीचे का दरवाज़ा खोल के देखते हो, ये ऑन करके दिखाओ, वो ऑफ करके दिखाओ, फिर 4 दुकानों में रेट निकालते हो और उसके बाद आप कोई फ्रिज या टीवी चूज करते हो. हम सिनेमा में क्या दिखाते हैं? एक पोस्टर, एक 2 मिनट का ट्रेलर, और हम आपको कहते हैं 2000 रुपये दे दो, और आप देते हैं. दैट इज द पावर ऑफ सिनेमा.
Right.
और आप ये विश्वास रखते हैं कि ये एक पोस्टर या ये 2 मिनट का ट्रेलर मुझे अगले 3 घंटे तक खुशी देगा. आप जब रत्ना जी के नाटक का एक ऐड आता है तो क्या आता है? एक 4 इंच बाय 4 इंच का ऐड आता है. क्या प्रॉमिस है आपको? कोई प्रॉमिस नहीं है, लेकिन आप उनका चेहरा देखते हो, आपको ये प्रॉमिस उस चेहरे में मिलता है कि ये हमको खुशी देगा. सो आई थिंक वी आर अ वेरी ब्लेस्ड इंडस्ट्री. और दूसरी मुझे एक इंडस्ट्री दिखाई है जहां मैं बिना प्रोडक्ट दिखाए लोगों से पैसे ले सकता हूं. Unless I want to thug them.
Politics.
No, I don't want to. No comments there.
I'm going to now come quickly to Mr. Sahai because he's from the INB ministry and I think a very important person here. Like a lot of points all of you have made. I think Mr. Sahai will be the right person to, throw some more light on. But Mr. Sahai, what I'd like to ask also is, are there policies that the government has brought in to help the smaller industries grow as big as the Hindi film industry, for instance?
Thank you. First of all, FICCI has this peculiar thing of putting a sedate bureaucrat among such talented people. Well, it's my privilege and honor to be sitting with such great personalities. 2 of them, of course, we have all been entertained by their talent across, decades now, not years, whether on the silver screen or on the TV, and now also on OTT. So it's really a privilege, ma'am, with both of you and the young, usually talented Swapnil and Mansi. I think all of us who talk about whether the Indian languages, in fact, now we are also in the government, very consciously we don't talk about regional language, talk about Indian language. When we talk about, for instance, we have this journey of India, which Discovery made it. And it's about trying to showcase India's huge talent across sectors. It has gone to 190 countries now. And the promo was by Amitabh Bachchan, the first part. And so we worked along with the Discovery. And that also then was, we got it dubbed in the 12 Indian languages and shown on Doordarshan. So we don't now use regional language, we use the word Indian languages. Because Indian languages, that is very important. Now, all of us who talk about it, I go back to the maestro Satyajit Ray. Most of his movies were in Bangla. But then there is not a place in the world or any serious filmmaker who would not have learned from Satyajit Ray's movies. So language was never a barrier and will never be a barrier as far as showcasing talent is concerned in this country and also abroad now that we are going abroad. Having said that, a couple of things. Of course, this is an industry which is largely private and we see a lot of young talent coming up on OTT. But from the government, we have been trying to do a few things. Like 3 years back, our minister's initiative, we started this 75 young creative minds at the International Film Festival of India, and we invited applications from across the country, and there were hugely talented young boys and girls, totally amateur, who made those short films. And out of that, about 5,000, 10,000 applications, a panel jury of reputed people. They selected 75 of them. They were brought all the way to Goa, IFI, and their talent was showcased, and they were awarded. And now we're also collaborating with Amazon so that we can get them to make some things which can go on various platforms, including on Amazon. So whatever they will make, and that would be in any language. It has nothing to do with Hindi or a particular language, any language, because we had people from Bihar, from Assam, from Tamil Nadu, all over the country. So that is one good thing. So every year we're getting this 75. So in the last 3 years now, we have 225 such young people, and they are now getting this opportunity to showcase their talent. The second thing is the NFDC now is propelling it back. and trying to get into filmmaking or helping in film production. Again, it is language agnostic, any language, anybody. And we have also invited applications from good script writers to give their scripts. And we also had a special section even for Northeast, that how we can promote, because when you see movies from, I stayed in Guwahati for 3 years. I had the opportunity to watch Asmi's movies, and it was a real thrill watching Asmi's movies. So a few things we're doing, plus incentivizing films. Madam talked about affordability or the viability. So the government, state governments have doing, large state governments have done it, but even the central government is doing that and trying to incentivize by way of giving some cash incentives and so that some aspect of the print production is taken care. And so those who do not have a large amount of funds or not able to get large funds, the government can come in and help it that way. So few things are happening.
That's great, sir. I think that's exciting news for filmmakers, especially who don't have deep pockets but who are extremely talented and creative. I'd like to bring in Mr. Padole, from the Madhya Pradesh Tourism Board. Sir, it's a beautiful state. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are coming there to film, for shoots and so on. Are there initiatives that you have taken to help filmmakers who come there, or even the local industry itself?
Yes. First of all, namaskar to everyone here. We would like to thank FICCI for providing us this opportunity and having Madhya Pradesh here as a state partner in this 23rd edition of FICCI Frames. So, seeing is believing. As we are talking about cinema and films, theaters, everything. So, as you have rightly said, Madhya Pradesh is a beautiful state, but you have to come and see. You have to come and check it. We have everything. We have very diversified state, very versatile state, except the coastal line. Madhya Pradesh offers you everything. We are the tiger state of India. First of all, we are the heart of incredible India, having at the center of the country. We are tiger state, having so much of wildlife there. All UNESCO World Heritage Sites, architecture, history, religion, spiritual places, Jyotirlingas, everything is there for a right script, for a right subject, for anything you want to make a film. And above all, the government is very, very proactive, and we provide you all kind of assistance. Single window system is there. Tourism department is the nodal agency for providing all kind of permissions, NOCs. And ease of filming, ease of doing business. If you want to see, come to Madhya Pradesh. Most of the filmmakers who have worked in Madhya Pradesh, who have completed their projects in Madhya Pradesh, are very happy. I can say this because they're coming back to us again. So they're repeating their films. Starting from great Prakash Jha, who had made 4 films in a row. Recently, Mr. Vikram Malhotra, 3 films in a row, and a lot of other things like television serials, web series, Panchayat, Gullak. They have 2 or 3 seasons in Madhya Pradesh. So this shows that the government is moving at the right direction. And now, since I was talking to Renuka ji, since now talents of Madhya Pradesh, they're also coming up, they're helping us, and the government is also helping them by providing them technical support also. Now, the film schools are there, training centers are there. We are providing technical supports, unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled technicians, the gadgets, equipments, light, camera, everything. And hassle-free atmosphere, where you don't have to worry about anything, no kind of pressure, and you shoot your film well on time as per your schedule. A lot of films are going on, but yes, there is also the other part or other side of the issue, the subsidies, the incentives, the discounts, which are also not a major but integral part of filmmaking and all. So the government from Madhya Pradesh government from our side we ensure and assure everyone, whosoever comes to Madhya Pradesh, if they are making good films, non-controversial, away from all caste, creed, religion, language, these things, we are happy to assist you. We are happy to give you subsidies up to the tune of 2 crores. Now, as Madam has said, not many big budget films will come, but yes, small pocket or small budget films are coming to Madhya Pradesh. Not only feature films, but as Ratna ji has said, theaters and other things are also happening there. Languages films. So we have a special category for now for South Indian movies. If they are coming and shooting in Madhya Pradesh, Gujarati films are being shot in Madhya Pradesh now. So we have something for all kind of these production houses, all kind of language films. We are also going to promote filming in Madhya Pradesh in various platforms, like FICCI is one of them. We are also going to Cannes. But we need people like you to represent Madhya Pradesh, to come with us to all these big platforms and tell the story, tell the situation about Madhya Pradesh. Because if I say something about myself or my state, it's little less. But if you tell about your experiences of filmmaking in Madhya Pradesh, people will believe it, people will come to Madhya Pradesh. And I want to promise on behalf of my government, I want to promise everyone that you will not be disappointed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Finally, I want to bring in the money people, those who are in the OTT business, the creative space where they're searching for content and giving the audience the best of the content that they find. Rajat, Agarwal, and Nautik. You know, you're doing multiple languages. Rajat, of course, Ultra Jackass, which is Marathi content. And Nautik, you're diversifying into various other languages as well, other than Hindi. How do you see the space as evolving, as changing? Do you think that all languages are just as important as Hindi now?
So we are making content in about 5 languages right now. And the way I look at it, if it has to be broken down into economics, because we have had interesting creative conversations, is there's a demand side and there's a supply side. So when we look at the supply side, which is essentially creatives, production, producing the best content, what I'm observing, and I've been at the trenches, I've been building content in different languages over the last 4 years now, is a very interesting cohort of very young filmmakers, very young storytellers emerging from different parts of India. Because today content is getting more and more inclusive. Today a kid sitting in a tier 3 town in, say, Orissa is essentially on par with the best of the filmmakers there, because you can make a complete film on an iPhone, and you can actually have it released theatrically as well. Since today you have the technology to do that. So where I am seeing a huge sea change which is going to happen, and everyone needs to brace themselves from it, is going to be a lot of young local filmmakers emerging from different parts of India. And today some of the best scripts that we are getting and the best people that we are interacting are not from Bombay, unfortunately, and because we scope all of them, are essentially small town filmmakers who today have the exposure because they've seen enough content. They've trained themselves on it, using the technology that they have, and are, on and have the certain amount of confidence and are on par with whatever the best the world can offer. Just 2 examples that I can really give you, or actually 3 examples, is there's a local Assamese film came out called Local Utpat, which was complete with martial arts, and it had an interesting setup. It was a 50 lakh film which made, I think, about 4 or 5 crores, just focusing on the Assamese audience and Assamese diaspora, and it had a release in places like Bangalore, which has an interesting, plethora of Assamese techie people who kind of work there. And they were actually able to get the most revenue from that market. There's an Odia film that just came out, which is outstanding, which was made by an IT guy, about a true story about a doctor who was fighting an epidemic in the most popular, most far-flung district in Orissa. And that film was again made for 1.5 crore, and I think the last I heard they'd made about 17 crores from it, just out of the Odia market. So obviously, one has to be able to, look at that, look at these trends which are emerging, and as the business guys, these are extremely heartening to note. And then you obviously need to, look at the demand side of things, which is essentially where the distribution comes from. And I feel that what we are moving towards is a change in technology. I mean, I've been in the industry for decades, so now you're looking at a shift from, say, what we used to call as the linear technology to non-linear. But ultimately, content remains the same. So the trick is to get people to first, the viewers to first go sample your content, and that's part A. And when they actually sample the content, you get them to view it. So it doesn't matter where they come from. I mean, whether they go to a cinema, they go to a OTT platform, they watch it on TV. As long as you can get enough people to come in and watch the content, you will always make money. And even on a YouTube, you'll be able to make money if there are enough people coming and watching it. And I think that is what filmmakers should be actually focusing on how do I kind of get my content to become better and better, the quality to go and the quality to become a lot more on par with the best that the world has to offer. And it's not about money anymore. It's just more about great storytelling, great experimentation to do with the craft, and finding that kind of a differentiator. And I'd just like to end with this great example of this movie called Great Indian Kitchen. When it started, The Great Indian Kitchen, it's a Malayali film, and it was rejected by all the major platforms. It was made on a very low budget. They just put it on a VOD platform. So, they would get a revenue share out of that. And it was a small Malayali VOD platform based out, with most of their audiences out of Dubai, out of the Middle East. And the film got such great word of mouth that over a period of time, even that OTT platform which was offering it on VOD made a good amount of money. Amazon noticed it. Then Amazon bought it at maybe like multiple times the cost that they would have offered to be on Amazon in the first place. And today that movie is getting made in multiple versions. I think there's a Hindi version also being made. So it's all about that. It's all about how do you make a great product, get people to come in, and it's going to be a different size fits all. It's not going to be a one size fits all strategy that you kind of put in. When you decide on making a film, you need to look at how exactly am I going to get my target audience, because as Mansi rightly said, it's going to be not all inclusive. It's going to be a mass of niches, as you call it. So there are the different audiences out there for different kinds of products. So one needs to, as a filmmaker, also be able to identify that. And once you identify that, okay, these are the audiences that I want to get on. How do I make sure that my film reaches them, and how do I kind of get them to the screen that I want them to be, and make sure that enough of those people see it. And once you get that mass of niches, and a very cliched term called long tail will set in, and you're going to be able to actually monetize the content. So I think it's a great time, and with also on the demand side, you have interesting technologies coming up like blockchain, and obviously you have AI and lots of things revolutionizing, but blockchain is the technology that's going to eventually get the filmmakers the access to the revenues that hitherto they would have been not able to get over a longer period of time. And that's where the industry is effectively going to go about 5 to 6 years from now, where even that part of the industry is going to get more and more democratized and monetizable, where you're actually going to be able to see the money. A filmmaker is going to know that, okay, these are the amount of people that have actually watched my content today, and this is the amount that I'm getting out of the residuals. So it's all getting there, but I think what the industry needs to do is, recognize all the local talent, make it a lot more inclusive, and not just, say, based out of Bombay or Chennai and all the main centers, and then at the same time be more cognizant to the fact that, the product that I'm making it, how do I get my target audience to it? So yeah, that's my 2 cents on, where we can go with the entire content bit now.
Rajat?
Yeah, I'll be happy to pick up from where Mautik left, citing the example of Great Indian Kitchen, which is really great, because that also talks about what VOD has done today. So that has actually given an additional distribution stream, which wasn't, there earlier. Earlier, it was probably like if it did not work theatrically, your only other branch of monetization of content was satellite. But now what VOD has done is it has given the producers that additional confidence that maybe if my film does not do well theatrically, or if it does not get picked up by a satellite channel, I have a VOD option. And that's where I think even where Renuka ji was talking about distribution channels, revenue sharing models have again become very helpful for producers. So today, even as Ultra Jhaka, so we have started an OTT platform of ours in the Marathi space. And today, if we as a platform do not particularly feel confident about a content, but we still feel that that might have an audience, we will pick it up on a revenue share model and we'll try to experiment it, which also gives the producer an opportunity that, okay, I've not made that kind of money, I've not recouped my amounts, but now I might be able to. And that is what I think even Mautik was talking about with Great Indian Kitchen. And also and I was talking to Swapnil before also that, we do need multiple platforms in one language, and every language should have multiple platforms, because I think the film industry is not a space of monopolies, because no one company has helped evolve the industry. Even if we talk about satellite channels, it is not one channel that has given the boost to the television audience. It is multiple free-to-air channels and pay TV channels that has helped you reach today. Even with the theater business, it is not only a PVR or an Inox, or there are multiple single screens and other multiplexes that have done it. And it is the same with VOD also. I don't think that only Ultra Jhakas or only, maybe a Planet Marathi will exist on its own. And it shouldn't, I believe, because that will also affect the buying and the selling power of a producer. And it will also hinder the exposure of the content. Now, for example, if we take our platform, we are trying to promote Nataks, to reach out to the audience through our platforms, along with other Marathi content, because that is one of, it is very important for the Marathi audience also to see. And I think what, even Swapnil is trying to achieve with his platform is trying to capture the tier 2, tier 3 countries with, Konkani, other languages. And that is what is going to get the audience rolling. As even Renuka ji cited earlier, that Marathi film industry has its own challenges, because I feel that they are also they watch Hindi content too, which probably does not exist with other regional spaces. Like, for example, today, what has helped grow the South Indian film industry, which is your Malayalam, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, is that, there is a very big language barrier. And so what happens is they have their own, sorry for saying they, but, the South Indian audience, basically, the producers have one South Indian watching audience, and then now a Hindi speaking audience through the form of dub content, which probably does not exist in Marathi, Gujarati, and other states wherein Hindi is still widely spoken. And that is where, we come into the picture, or we want to come into the picture by, giving the local audience the content that they want to watch. And I feel that is the way forward in the OTT space in general, is that every language needs to grow through the digital, the non-linear space, as Mautik said. And I believe that that is going to help in the future. Also, when we talk about subsidies, yes, it would be great to have a little more. The government has helped a lot, I feel. Now every state has come to the picture with subsidies, which wasn't earlier. I think earlier it was UP which has started it, and now I think Madhya Pradesh, even Delhi has, done a soft announcement of it. And, different cities and states are doing it. And it would be great to, grow on that a little more, reach out, to extents which other countries are doing, for example, like a UK, wherein the subsidies are growing, international co-productions are increasing. And I think that will again give a very big boost to the producers to go out there and make more content and reach out to the audience that they have been wanting to since so many years.
Right. Thank you so much. So I guess there are still challenges, but what the digital space has done is, really pushed Indian content across languages into the forefront and thrown the limelight on it. But one of the things that I feel is India is so rich in terms of its traditions, culture, and its stories, the storytelling. It's very, very powerful. So this is a question that I throw open to all of you. Do you think we need to start looking more at our own stories and, voicing that to the audience rather than just aping whatever's going on in the West? I think that's important.
Absolutely. There are so many stories. If I talk about Gujarat, there are incredible narratives that are waiting to come out. And what happens is that because commercially only the male narratives work, for example, with Kutch Express, when we did a female narrative, everybody was like, are you crazy? It's not going to make money at the box office, but it did. And that in itself, you know, the audiences are ready for it. We need to break the stereotypes. We need to dig deeper and get into, you know, the regional, I mean, the small towns and the city, small, you know, aspirations. Those are the places that we really need to tap into, absolutely.
Yeah, I have felt this for years and years, that it's strange that a country with so much variety of every kind needs to have only one kind of entertainment idea. How strange is that? And we've had the same entertainment idea for 3,000 years. We watch the same stories in every form, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purans. These have been our sources of entertainment across dance, music, theatre, across the country, everywhere. Suddenly today, this is genuinely a new audience. And it's an audience which is wanting more of their own lives reflected in what they see. I think that's the big difference. The audience today doesn't want only a fantasy. They know that life is tough. They want to see some reflection of that. So I think that's another big change. And the fact that he quickly qualified when he said South Indian, he quickly clarified. Once upon a time, we called everything south of the Vindhyas Madrasi. Right? You remember that time?